I choose to accept the security concerns of things being stolen off of my bike over, you know, the potential for me to break my leg if and when I trap my leg under my saddlebag again. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Amanda Zitto. If you are new here, I make motorcycle travel vlogs, how-tos, and general encouragement for you to get out and do the thing. Today we're going to be talking about saddlebags. I've been getting a couple questions about why I like soft saddlebags over hard bags, why I don't own any hard bags. Now this topic can be very dividing, hence why I've kind of avoided answering it up until this point. But I'm going to start by saying that everybody has their own preference. You have a right to whatever preference you have, but there is no right or wrong choice. Do what works best for you, but for me, I chose soft saddlebags. Full disclosure, I am a Wolfman Luggage ambassador. I have been since 2016. However, I'm not being paid to make this video. They're not telling me what to say. They did not ask me to make this video. Okay, cool? Cool. I do not and have not owned any hard bags, aluminum or plastic. However, I have worked at a dealership where I have ridden a lot of bikes that did have hard bags on them, both plastic and aluminum. And I have done a lot of research. So let's start with the pros of soft luggage. Starting with the most obvious one, weight. Soft luggage is just going to be lighter than pretty much any hard luggage out there, whether you're using plastic, aluminum, and definitely a lot lighter than making your own steel panniers. There's a lot less hardware involved with mounting soft bags to any motorcycle, and depending on the soft bags that you get, sometimes you don't even need mounting hardware. Like these bags, I have a aluminum rack underneath of them for rigidity, for support, and so they don't accidentally flop into my rear tire, but there are sets of luggage now that are totally, rackless. If you take a bag that already weighs like 3 or 4 pounds and you add, 30 or 40 pounds of luggage to it, that's a whole lot less weight that you're adding to your subframe than if you took panniers that already weighed 15 pounds by themselves and then added 40 pounds of gear to it and then put that on your bike. And I'm sure, as everybody knows, the more weight you put on the back of your bike, the more that it affects how it handles. But you get the idea. The less that your bags weigh, bag and luggage combined, the less stress it's going to put on your motorcycle, on the subframe, on the shock, the less stress it's going to put on you when you're trying to manhandle your bike around parking lots doing slow speed maneuvers, let alone when you're trying to pick up that bike in the dirt, in loose gravel. Next up, ease of use. Now there are a lot of people who will say that it's not as easy to pack soft bags as it is to pack hard bags. And I guess that depends on your perception, because to me, my soft bags are just as easy to pack as it has been for me to pack any hard aluminum panniers. Especially if you use things like packing cubes or pods. Ta-da! If you use like a pod or a packing cube, it's just as easy to pull everything out of the bag and take it into a hotel room with you or put it into your tent as it would to take, whatever liner that you're using in your hard bags into the hotel with you. Especially with the bags that I have. With the roll top, I have a little bit of wiggle room. I have a little bit of overflow space. So if I pick something up extra that I plan on getting, or even just groceries, I have a little bit more wiggle room in my bags than you would if you had a fixed amount of space like you do with hard panniers. Also, they're waterproof. Of course, depending on the kind of soft luggage, that also changes the pros and cons. There's a lot of soft luggage out there that isn't waterproof, but you compensate by using dry bags inside of those bags to organize. Alternatively, all of my bags are waterproof, including my tank bag. So just like depending on the kind of hard luggage that you have, depends on whether or not it's actually waterproof or not. In my experience with hard bags, the waterproofness of those bags relies on a gasket, and that if that gasket gets damaged, or if you drop your bike and your bags get bent out of shape so they don't close together properly, that also really affects the waterproofness of that bag. Just like with soft bags, if they get punctured, that's going to affect the waterproofness of the bag. Although I will say that I have pretty thoroughly tested the durability of the Wolfman luggage, dropping the bike off-road, dropping the bike on pavement, and with the exception of exploding an isobutane canister that was inside of the bag and melting them on the exhaust pipe, that's pretty much the only way that I found that you're going to accidentally put a hole in these, short of somebody taking a knife to them, and even that is harder than it looks. So the normal concern that you would have with hard bags about if you take a rough spill off road, you could bend them out of shape, versus that's not really going to happen with these. Unless you fall on spikes or something. Then of course, moving on to the cons of soft saddlebags, and the biggest one for me is security. They are vulnerable. If somebody really wanted what was in my saddlebags, they could take it. I can't lock them like you can hard panniers, but in my experience now, having pretty much gone all the way across the US and back, and even our time in Baja, I've never had anybody steal anything out of my saddlebags. The only time I've had anything stolen off the bike was at Yellowstone National Park, and my tripod was tucked into the netting on the back of my bike. I went in to grab a snack, and when I came back, my tripod was gone. And that was because it was out in the open, it was easy to grab. Crimes of opportunity. The way that I combat the security issue is that I try to be smart about where I park the bike. If I stop at a restaurant or something, I try to make sure that I can park the bike at a window and make sure that I can get seated in the restaurant at or close to that window so that I have line of sight of the bike. Nobody's approached it while I was eating food before. I also try to make sure that there's just nothing out in the open that is easy to swipe. Most people who don't have a whole lot of experience with motorcycles don't even know where to start with trying to open my saddlebags. You know, there's 4 clips. And it may seem super simple to us, but to somebody who has 0 experience with that luggage, it will take them, more than a second to try to figure out how to open the bags and then figure out if there's something worthy of swiping in those bags. So who knows? They could have just opened my clothing bag and only be met with a bunch of dirty clothes. They don't know because you can't see inside. Just being smart about where I park, how long I leave it in a place that may or may not be secure, and also just making sure that I take any major valuables with me. So my tank bag always goes inside with me. My GoPros that are on any of the external mounted points of the motorcycle go inside with me. And yeah. My main complaint about the security thing though is that I can't really leave my bike at a trailhead at a national park and feel comfortable. The delicate arch is like up that way. It's about 1.5 miles to hike up, which I'm not going to do because I can't leave the bike alone. However, I have left it at the trailhead of a state park in the middle of nowhere, Montana, and been totally comfortable leaving it there, even with a couple of other cars in the parking lot, and gone for a hike for 2 hours and come back and it was totally fine. But then again, different situation, and being smart about where you park the bike, when you leave it, all of those things. Another con that I see listed a lot for soft luggage is their durability, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but it wholly depends on the kind of bags that you have, both hard and soft, because there's definitely hard plastic bags that are very brittle and definitely will not survive a hard dump in the dirt, if you know what I mean. But there's also quite a few soft bags, if you go the cheaper route, that will not last a long time. In my personal experience, the durability of soft luggage wholly depends on how you treat them, how you maintain them, and what material they are made of, which I guess you could argue is the same for hard luggage. I know that I'm talking a lot about Wolfman luggage, but that's because that's the product that I have the most experience with, and it's the freshest in my mind, and I do my best to forget about the shitty leather saddlebags that I used to own and the other brands that we will not speak of soft luggage that I had before I had Wolfman luggage. I know that in a bad crash on pavement, straps on soft luggage can break, or you can wear holes in them from sliding down the pavement. But the good thing is that those kinds of things are fairly easy to repair. Straps are easy to replace. It's easy to repair small holes in the fabric. And that kind of brings us to one of the biggest cons for me about hard bags, is that if you come off of the bike in the perfect way where your leg or your ankle is trapped underneath of your rear saddlebag and it's hard, there is a high possibility that you could break your leg or your ankle, depending on the kind of boots that you're wearing. And I have come off of the bike in such a way that my leg has ended up under the rear saddlebag. Thankfully, I have soft bags, so I didn't do a whole lot of damage to myself. And that's like also like a big factor in me not having hard bags besides the weight. You know, we all decide what kind of risks we're willing to take, and that's not really one of them for me. Especially since it has happened to me. I have fallen off the bike in such a way that my leg would have been crushed by hard bags. And so yeah. Twice, actually. Once on Lazarus and again on the Tiger. My leg got trapped underneath the back of the bike. So maybe I just need to learn to fall better, but it's good to have soft bags in the cases where I'm still learning to fall better. I also want to interject here that this is not a comprehensive pros and cons list for hard luggage versus soft luggage. This is a quick list of stuff off the top of my head, which is the reasons in general why I have soft luggage instead of hard luggage, and why even when I had the opportunity to purchase hard luggage, I chose not to. I will link videos down in the description of more comprehensive pros and cons list for why you would want hard luggage over soft luggage and vice versa. Cool? Cool. So much about motorcycling is just choosing the risks that you are willing to accept and the ones that you are not. And that is very specific to every individual. And the great thing is, at least in the United States, a lot of those choices are up to you in most cases. There are states that require you to wear a helmet, but that's besides the point. We're talking about luggage right now, okay? I choose to accept the security concerns of things being stolen off of my bike, because things could also be stolen off of a bike with hard luggage, over, weight and the potential for me to break my leg if and when I trap my leg under my saddlebag again. Anyway, you guys, I hope you got something out of today's video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you did. I hope I answered a few questions about why I use soft saddlebags over hard bags. Huge shout out to my patrons who make these videos possible. If you would like to support the channel for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to videos like these ad-free before the rest of the world. If that's not up your alley, that is totally okay. I have t-shirts, stickers, prints, all the good things with my motorcycle art on them in my Etsy and my Redbubble shop. For my US friends, my Etsy shop is filled with things that are hand packaged and sent to you by me. For my international friends, shipping is just going to be easier and cheaper if you use Redbubble. I'm sorry, I'm working on it. Question for my end screen crew: what do you use, soft or hard bags? And please be kind and remember that it's all personal preference. Depends on what you need them for specifically, but I would like to know if you use hard bags or soft bags. Okay? I'll see you guys later.